Welcome back dear students. In today's video, I am going to discuss continue statement and loops in Python. Below are the outcomes of watching this video. By the end of this video, you will be able to write Python code using continue statement, differentiate between definite and indefinite loops. You will be able to explain general format of loop patterns. You will be able to write program or function to count and sum items. You will be able to write program or function to find the smallest and largest items in a list. Let us start with discussion of continue statement. Dear students, sometimes we are in an iteration of a loop and want to finish a current iteration immediately and jump to the next iteration. Means let us consider we have written a loop, and within a loop there are around 10 statements, and if let us consider that we are executing a statement 5, means a fifth statement, and at that point of time we want to skip all the statements below it and start from the first statement within the loop. In such cases we can use continue statement to skip to the next iteration without finishing the body of the loop for the current iteration. Means dear students, so as I told, without continuing with statement 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, say we can skip all the statements below it and continue with the first statement within a loop. That can be done using a continue statement. For example, a loop that copies its input until a user types done but treats lines that start with a hash character as lines not to be printed. So let us consider that there is a loop which copies its input until a user types done. And one more thing is, when user types, if he starts typing with hash character, then that line will not be printed. Otherwise, whatever the user will be typing, that will be printed. So that loop looks like this. While true, line is equal to input. Whatever the user is going to enter, that will be stored in a line. And yes, students, if line of 0, nothing but first character in the string, whatever the user has entered, if that is equal to a hash, then skip all the statements within this. If it is equal to hash, so obviously we don't print it. Because of that, say we can just use a continue statement. The meaning of a continue statement is skip all the statements below it and start with the first statement within a loop. Basically, it will going to skip all the statement and go to a while loop and check the condition. And yes, students, in this particular case, the condition is always true. Once again, it will start. How the continue statement will execute. Whenever the continue statement is encountered, it will going to skip all the statements within it inside the loop and go to the while to check the condition. If the condition is true, once again it will start executing. Okay, so dear students, here say I have written if line of 0, nothing but first character is hash, then continue, don't do anything. Means below statements will not be executed. If line of 0 is not equal to hash, then it will come here directly. And here we are checking whether line is equal to done. Means whatever the user has entered, if that is equal to done, then come out of the loop. One of the important thing, dear students, if a line is equal to done, if this is not executed, means if line is not equal to done, then that line will be printed. Whereas in this case, if line is equal to hash, means line of 0, if first character is hash, it will going to skip everything, even this print statement will not be executed. That's what even the example will tell. Okay, whenever user will enter a line with a hash, it should not be printed. Because of that, if the first character is hash, then skip all the statement below this. And if the user is going to enter done, break. And this is a sample output of this program. Like if user enters hello there, the same will be printed. And if user enters something starting with a hash, then it will not be printed. And if user enters anything, like say for example in this case print this, it has been printed, and when user enters a done, that will be stop. I hope this you can execute and test it. This is very simple to understand. With this, we'll move on to definite loops using for. Dear students, sometimes we want to loop through a set of things like a list of words or lines in a file, or say for example list of numbers. We want to count those the number of items in a list, or say in a file, or say in a some particular line. When we have a list of things to loop through, we can construct a definite loop using a for statement. Definite in the sense we know how many number of times the loop will be executed. Students, we call a while statement an indefinite loop because it is simply loops until some condition becomes false, whereas the for loop is looping through a known set of items, so it runs through as many iterations as there in a set. Means how many items are there, those many iterations will be there. Say whatever the set will be there, in that how many items are there, those many times it will going to iterate. So because of that, a for loop is called as a definite loop. Dear students, definite means we know definite number of times the loop executes. If there is a set containing some n number of items, the loop will iterate n times. The syntax of a for loop is similar to while loop in that there is a for statement and a loop body. Like say for example, dear students, this is one example where if you see there is a variable called friends, and dear students, this particular variable we call it as a list. Actually it's a list. Whatever friends is equal to whatever we have written within a square brackets, it is a list. And more about list we are going to discuss in module 3. As of now, you remember dear students, list will be written within a square bracket separated by comma. Okay, here say this list is a list of strings. It contains items which are strings, and all the strings are separated by comma. And this particular friends, which is a list variable, it contains 3 items. Now the syntax of for loop is for friend in friends, print all the best comma friend. If you see this particular code, dear students, here for and in are keywords which are reserved words in Python, and friend and friends are variables. How this particular loop will execute? It is something like this. For a variable in this list, how you need to understand this? Look at this. For a variable or a item in this list. Friend means it's one item. Friends is a list. It is a some you can consider as a list or a set. Means for a variable in this set, do this. So means first say when the loop will start, the friend will be Ravi. For a Ravi in this friends, print all the best Ravi. Friend this time is Ravi. Next time when it comes here, the friend will be Raghu. For Raghu means friend means this time Raghu. In friends, print means it will going to print all the best Raghu. Every time it will going to iterate through all the items in the list. Finally, say it will come to Raju, and for Raju in friends, it will print all the best Raju. How many items are there in a list? Those many times it will going to iterate. When the iteration variable reaches the end of the list, it will going to terminate and come out of the loop and continue with the statements after the loop. And here in this case, the statement is done. It will going to print done. So if at all you want, dear students, I'll execute this and show. Dear students, let us write a script for this. Instead of entering this in an interpreter, so let us write a script vi, and the name of the script I'll write it as a, say for example, for loop.py. Okay, so here let me take a variable friends, and first one is Ravi, second item is say for example Raju, and the third one is say Raghu. So there are 3 items here in the list. Now for friend in friends, then later colon. Afterwards, with a proper indentation, say what you want to print. Print all the best, then space. Here, say, look at dear students how to write this. Say this is a one string and comma is going to concatenate both the strings. This is a friend is a string again. It will going to concatenate both the strings. Here I am going to write all the best space and then one string comma and here friend. And once this loop will going to end, I'll just write print done. So let me save this dear students. To save, press escape, shift colon WQ, enter, and let me execute this script using Python 3 interpreter. You can see dear students, all the best Ravi, all the best Raju, all the best Raghu. How many items we are going to give within this? Those many times the for loop is going to iterate. Like say here if I write one more string Lakshmi, you can see how many items are there in a loop, those many times it will going to execute. Means we know how many times the loop will going to execute. Why we call this as a for loop as a definite loop? Because we know the number of times the loop will execute. Whereas in case of while, if you see a dear students, like say one example is reading a string that will be entered from the user and printing it. We don't know, and stopping when user is going to enter done. We don't know when user is going to enter done. It is indefinite. He may enter at the first time itself, or say fifth time, or hundred time, or 1,000 time. We don't know. Because of that, normally the while statement or while loop is called as an indefinite loop. Whereas for loop, as it is going to execute a definite number of times, it is called as a definite loop. In Python, the variable friends is a list, as I told you students. It's a list of 3 strings, and for loop goes through the list and executes the body once for each of 3 strings in the list, resulting in output that's been given here. Considering friends as a set of strings, for loop runs the statements in the body once for each friend in the set named friends. Means if we consider dear students friends as a some set of friends, then for every friend the statement is going to, once the loop is going to execute. Looking at the for loop, for and in are reserved Python keywords. Dear students, say if you see here in this loop, in this particular statement, for and in are reserved keywords, whereas friend and friends are variables. If you see this, in particular, friend is called as iteration variable. This particular, after for whatever you are going to write, it is called as a iteration variable. Okay, the variable friend changes for each iteration of the loop and controls when the for loop completes. Dear students, this particular variable means after the for whatever we are going to write, this is called as a iteration variable, and this is responsible for controlling the execution of for loop. The iteration variable steps successively through the 3 strings stored in the friends variable. This is a friends variable, which is a list variable in this particular case. Hope this is clear to all of you, dear students. With this, we are going to discuss loop patterns. In general, how the loops will be written. So there are 3 important steps in writing a loop, dear students. Often, we use a for or while loop to go through a list of items or the contents of a file, and we are looking for something such as largest or smallest value of a data we scan through. Means if say generally we are going to use for and while loop to count some number of items, or say for example to find the largest element, or say to find the smallest element, or to find the sum of items. For such things we are going to write a loop. We are going to use a loop. And these loops are generally constructed in following steps. And first and foremost is there should be an initialization. Initializing one or more variables before the loop starts. Normally these are the general steps whether you use for or while most of the time. Okay, say there will be initialization, means initializing one or more variables before the loop starts. And second is performing some computation for each item in a loop of the body, possibly changing the variables in the body of the loop. Means every time we iterate through the loop, the variable, means iteration variable, is going to change. And on that iteration variable, we are going to perform some operation. And finally, looking at the resulting variables when the loop completes. Means, so obviously at you should reach a point where the loop will going to complete. Okay, so these are the steps in writing any looping statements. So let us use a list of numbers to demonstrate the concept and construction of these loop patterns. Okay, so let us see one example, dear students. What we do, we are going to write a loop for counting and summing. And those loops normally called as a counting and summing loops. Means counting means, let us consider there is a list. Inside that list, how many items are there? And if those items are, say for example, integers or means in general numbers, we want to find the sum of items inside that list. Okay, dear students. So if you see this particular code, here say the first statement is initialization. We have initialized one variable whose name is count. Count is initialized to 0. And now here for iter var, means iteration variable, which is written as iter var in this particular list, directly instead of taking one variable and initializing that variable to a list, here directly the list has been written. For iter variable in this particular list, count is equal to count plus 1. Initially count will be 0, and as initially the iter variable will be pointing to, means it will be holding 3, and when it is pointing to 3, the count will execute. To the existing value of count, 1 will be added and the count that will be stored again in a count. Next iteration variable loops to the next item, that which is 41, and now count will incremented to 2. So on it continues. At the last, when iteration variable reaches the end of this particular list, you will be having a count which will going to give a number of items in this particular list. Dear students, during execution, if you see in between, means during execution, the count will give the number of items so far counted. Initially the count will be 0. During execution of a loop, the count will give number of items that it has counted so far. And at the end, the count will going to give the total number of items in a list. Hope this is clear to all of you, dear students. In the body of loop, we add 1 to the current value of a count for each of the value in the list. During loop execution, the value of count is a number of values we have seen so far. Once the loop completes, the value of count is a total number of items in a list. And so we can see another similar example that computes the total of a set of numbers. Instead of just counting, in this case, we have counted the set of items, means how many items are there in a set. So here there is a one more example where instead of counting, we are finding a total or a sum of items inside the set. For that purpose, we have taken a variable total which is made equal to 0. And for every item in this particular list, what we are doing, say total is equal to total plus that particular item. Initially, iter variable, iter var will be 3 and total is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3, that will be stored again in total. Next time the iter variable loops to iterates and it will point to 41, and say the total will be 3 plus 41, say the result which is 44 will be stored again in total. If you see, dear students, initially the sum will be 0, and say during the loop execution the sum will be the sum of total items that we have seen so far, and at the end the total will be sum of all the items in a list. Hope this is clear to all of you, dear students. In this particular loop, we do use a iteration variable. Instead of simply adding 1 to the count, means instead of just counting, we add actual number to the running total during loop iteration. The variable total contains running total of values so far. So before loop starts, the total will be 0. The total 0 means we have not seen any values. That's the meaning. And during the execution of loop, total is the running total. Means how many elements we have seen, all those elements, if we sum, that will be total so far. And at the end of loop, total is the overall total of all the values in the list. As the loop executes, total accumulates the sum of elements. Because of that, a variable used in this way, sometimes called as a accumulator. Means in this particular case, total is accumulating the sum. It is called as a accumulator. I hope this is clear to all of you, dear students. Neither the counting loop nor the summing loop are particularly useful in practice. The meaning, dear students, normally such type of loops what we have written to count and sum are not useful in practice because there are built-in functions called len and sum that compute the number of items in a list and total number of items in a list respectively. Means to count a number of items in a list, we have a built-in function called len, which is going to give a total number of elements in a list. And to find the sum of total elements in a list, there is a built-in function called sum. So because of that, normally we don't use loops or something like this. This is going to find the sum, total sum of all the elements in the list, whereas this particular loop is going to count the number of items in a list. But as I told, for that two built-in functions are there. One is len and another one is sum. Len is going to give a number of items in a list, whereas sum is going to give a total number of sum of all the elements inside the list. With this, we are going to see two more loops to find maximum and minimum element inside the list of or a sequence of numbers. Dear students, to find the largest value in a list or sequence, we'll construct a loop that's been given like this. Let us consider we want to find a largest element. Initially, we take a variable called largest. Okay, you can take any variable. So because we are finding a largest number, so we'll take a variable largest and that will be initialized to none. Dear students, see that this none is not a string. Even earlier also have told none is a special constant value which we can store in a variable to mark the variable as empty. Means the list doesn't contain anything. That's the meaning. Okay. Instead of making largest is equal to 0, so here we are writing it largest is equal to none. Means that list is empty. That's the meaning. So dear students, here the next statement is print before. Means before starting of the loop, what is there? What is largest? So if we print the largest is none, means nothing is there in a list. Okay. So if you see, for iter variable in this particular list, now the first time when the loop will execute, iter variable will be 3. If largest is none, means dear students, if largest is none, means if this largest is none, I have told dear students is a keyword. If this largest is none or this is a keyword, iter var is greater than largest. Largest is none is one expression. And another expression is iter var is greater than largest. This is a OR keyword, which is nothing but it's a OR operator. OR operator is a binary operator, means it is going to take two operands. One operand is a result of this expression and another operand is a result of this expression. So when this if condition starts executing, first this particular expression will be evaluated. Initially, the largest will be none. So largest is none, it will be true. When this is a true, it will come here and largest will become equal to the first iteration variable value, which is 3. Largest will be 3. You can see, dear students, that we are going to print here. Say when it loops, the iter var will be 3 and even largest will also be 3. Because of that, you can see here loop. When for the first time when it executes, it will be 3 and 3. And next time, say when it will come here, means after it will print, it will come here once again, and this time iteration variable will be 41. And if you see, if largest, right now dear students, largest is 3. If largest, which is nothing but 41, is none, it is not none dear students, means this particular expression is going to give false. Now it will going to evaluate the next expression. Here, if iter variable is greater than largest, this time 41, iter variable is 41. 41 is greater than largest. Yes, it is true. When it is true, the largest is equal to, means we are going to change the largest. This time largest is equal to iter variable, means instead of 3, whatever is there in largest, say that will be changed to current largest, which is there in a iter variable. Means largest will going to hold 41. And same thing will be printed. Iter variable and largest will be both same, 41. Next time the iter variable is going to point to 12. And this statement as usual it will be false because largest is not none. And it will come here, if you see this time iter variable which is 12 is not greater than largest, it will going to skip this. It will not assign this. So it will directly print iteration variable, its value is 12, whereas largest is still 41. This particular loop, how many times it will run? Those many times which is equal to number of items in this particular list. Finally, if you see dear students, once the loop will going to terminate, the variable largest will be holding the largest value in this particular list. And if you see here, the largest in this particular list is 74, which is printed here. Hope this is clear to all of you dear students. And if you want, I can even still execute this and show. So let me execute. I'll take a file name as largest.py. Initially, say I'll take a variable called largest. Largest will be none. Okay. So later, just print before, means first what will be largest, that will be printed. And later for iter var in, I'll take some numbers, say 5, 37, 45, 12, 34, 78, 53, 36. Let us consider this is a list. And now here, say what we do, say we are going to check if largest is none. If it is none, or iter var is greater than largest, then largest is equal to iter var. Say later dear students, we are going to print iter and largest both. Iter var, comma, another one is largest. Once the loop will terminate, say we'll print largest element in list largest. And let me save this and execute using Python 3 interpreter. Python 3. Okay, say sorry. Here I have written a semicolon. Right, now you can see dear students. Say in that list the largest element is 78. Largest element in a list is 70. Hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, similarly we can write a smallest to find smallest number. The only change here is dear students, instead of greater than, if we take less than symbol, means less than operator, say it will going to find the smallest element. This you can execute on your own and see the result. Okay, so only this is the difference, nothing other than that. As I told, we don't write loops to find a number of items in a list and even to some number of items in a list, because built-in functions are there which are len and sum respectively. Similarly, to find largest and smallest element, we have built-in functions which are called max and min. Those functions have been written something like this. Okay, the following is simple version of a Python built-in function, like a min. How min is written? Definition: min is values. Whatever the values the user will going to pass, it will be stored here. Now if you see, initially smallest will be none. For a value in this value, normally this value will be a set or a list. Okay, for a value in this value, if a smallest is none or value is less than smallest, then smallest will be value. Means this loop will going to find the smallest, and at the end, say we are going to return smallest. The only difference between this particular program and this particular program is, dear students, here this is a program. Because of that we have not used def keyword, and one more important thing is, here we are printing because it's a program, whereas in this because this is a function which is going to return a smallest element, we have not used any print statement. Say if you supply the list to this particular min, it will going to return the minimum of or smallest of that smallest element in that particular list. Okay, dear students, if you want I can show you this in a Python interpreter, Python 3. Say let me define some list using say values is equal to, I'll write, any dear students, we are going to discuss a list later, not now. So there we'll discuss too much, but just because we have discussed a min function, I'm going to give this. I'm going to tell this min of values. You can see, dear students, we need not have to write any function. There is a built-in function. So minimum is this, and if this is say for example minus 27, and if I run, minimum is minus 27. Hope this is clear to all of you, dear students. Thank you for watching.